Excellent. So now I would come to the most obvious question, of course. So now that we have discarded hadith, and since you have mentioned the religious rites, how do we perform the religious rites, not having the hadith in our hands?
Yeah, well, the hadith doesn't actually help you do any of your religious rites. For example, prayer, that's the argument, or at least the ones that I get often. People will say, how do you pray without the hadith? And I've
Right.
trawled through
Yeah.
thousands of hadith, and I mean that, thousands of hadith, mostly repetitive, but still thousands. And not one single hadith teaches you to pray start to finish. There's not one hadith that teaches you the niyyah or the intention before the prayer. There's not, the hadith doesn't tell you where to put your hands, for example. A lot of the hadith doesn't even mention the Fatiha. And even the Fatiha, there's not a hadith that tells you if Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is part of the Fatiha. Right? There's a dispute there. If you go to Mecca nowadays, the Imam would not recite Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. They dispute and disagree on the matter of whether this is the first verse of the Quran. So they read it silently and then they go straight to Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And the longest hadith that I know is in Sunan Abi Dawud 730. And it's repetitive. It's 6 rak'ats in there. The Fatiha isn't mentioned. What you say during ruku isn't mentioned. What you say when you stand up isn't mentioned. Sujood isn't mentioned. So the hadith doesn't teach you how to pray. There's not a single hadith that teaches you start to finish. And even if you compile the sum of all the hadith, if you threw this at someone and said, oh, look at these hadith and learn how to pray, they would not learn how to pray. We learn how to pray through passed down practices, the manasik. This was passed down from Imam to Imam in 2173.